Okay, so we're on the second page of the review. We're going to look at number 4, which is our exponent questions. So if we look at A, we are multiplying these two together. So what I would probably do is go ahead and group your coefficients together, and then your x's, and then your y's, and then your z's. Now you may do this step in your head, but it is still a step that you do need to take. So negative 2/3 times 9, 3 goes into 9 3 times, so that's going to leave me with a negative 6. For the x's, I'm going to keep the base and add the exponents. Same for the y's, that'll be y to the 4th. Same for the z's, that will be z to the 3rd. Now if I look at B, I want to think about splitting this up. I'm thinking about 6 over 3, x to the 6th over x squared, and y to the 4th over y to the 8th. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And I kind of want to think of this as a fraction, so that'll be 2 in the numerator. Then when we get to the x's, remember we subtract the denominators, or I can think of it as a canceling process. I have 6 x's on top and 2 on the bottom. So when I cancel, I'll be left with x to the 4th in the numerator. And for the y's, if I use my subtraction property, I'll get y to the negative 4, which means the y's need to go to the bottom. So I can also think of this as a canceling process. If I have 4 y's on the top and 8 on the bottom, the leftover y's are going to have to be on the bottom because that's where I have the most y's. All right, so that gives us a completed answer. Remember, we don't want to leave any negative exponents in our answer. Now for C, we have negative 10 times x to the negative 2. A lot of people want to move the negative 10, but remember it actually has an exponent of 1. So for that one, I would leave the negative 10 in the numerator and move just the x's down and get negative 10 over x squared. And D, we have everything in parentheses raised to a power of 0. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. All right, now when we get over here to the other ones, I'm going to work these down here a little bit. Oh, that is not what I meant to do. Let me try that again. Cancel, cancel, cancel. There we are. All right, so let's take a look at E. One thing I'm noticing is I have this squared on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and use my power rule, and I'm going to square everything inside the set of parentheses. So if I square negative 2, I'm going to get positive 4. If I square x to the negative 2, I multiply exponents, so x to the negative 4, and then y to the 8th. Then I'm going to bring over my 3x to the 4th, y to the negative 7. So if I multiply my 3 and my 4 together, I'm going to get 12. For my x's, I'm supposed to add the exponents. That's going to give me x to the 0. And then for the y's, if I add the exponents, that's 8 plus negative 7. That's y to the 1st. Now remember that the x to the 0 becomes a 1. So that becomes 12 times 1 times y, which gives me an answer of 12y. All right, now for F, I've got a lot of stuff going on here. I might want to start with this fraction and go ahead and reduce that. That would be negative 1 over 3. Now I want to go through and I want to find everything that has a negative exponent. I like to go ahead and move these. Okay, so I'm going to flip everything that has a negative exponent. I'm going to leave everything else where it is. So if we see what that looks like, I'll see if I can squeeze that in there. I have negative 1 over 3. Notice the x's are switching places. So now I'm going to have x squared on the top, x to the 5th on the bottom. Okay, so those switch places. My y's have positive exponents, so I leave them exactly where they are. My z's both have negative exponents, so they're going to switch places. I get z to the 1st over z to the 4th. So now we're back to a little bit of what we had in the previous problem. I'm looking at my exponents, okay, for x, y, and z. I can use my subtraction property. So notice for the x's, x to the 5th is bigger, which means when I cancel, my leftover x's are on the bottom, so that'll be x to the third on the bottom. For the y's, the bigger exponent's on the top, so that'll be y to the fifth on the top. For the z's, the bigger exponent's on the bottom, so that's going to leave me z to the third on the bottom. Now I don't have to write that -1, but I do have to keep the negative, so negative y to the fifth over 3x to the third, y to the third. All right, so I have all positive exponents, and I only see my letters or my variables showing up in one place. All right, I'm going to put g down here at the bottom. Now notice with g, I've got this negative exponent on the outside. So when I see that, I know I want to flip the base. So I'm going to take everything that was in the bottom, I'm going to move it to the numerator. And everything from the numerator goes to the denominator exactly as it is. So the only thing that flip does is it changes the sign right here. Now before I cube everything, I'm noticing that 27 and 18 can be reduced. They're both divisible by 9, so that gives me 3 over 2. And the other thing I might want to do is I might want to move any negative exponents that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and move that to the top. So that gives me 3x to the fifth. This x is going to come up and join it, so x to the third. And I still have a y. On the bottom I have a 2 and a y squared. All right, so I'm going to take one more step to clean this up. That's going to be 3x to the 8th over 2. Now if I look at my y's, I can cancel. I'm going to get 2y on the bottom. Oops, turn that into a 2. All right, so now I've cleaned up my parentheses. Now I can take that exponent and I'm going to cube everything. So this is my power rule. So 3 cubed is going to be 27. X to the 8th cubed is x to the 24th. 2 to the third is 8. And then y cubed. And so all my exponents are positive. I only see my variables in one place. All right, so that is number 4 on the review.